all that, getting hit multiple times. Coming out of that bike section, more drivers coming to blows.
Well, hello and good evening, folks. Welcome in here to Slow Motion Broadcasting, and welcome to the first ever Ron's Race Nights here on SMB. My name is Ron Maunz, or as Hannibal Lecter would probably call me, Dinner for Two. For the first ever running of this event, potentially these broadcasts here on SMB, we have got the action from the Formula C Fixed Series at Imola. These cars, the Dallar F3s, really my first love when it came to iRacing, and I'm really looking forward to the race that we have got here this evening. We've got some good racing action, some pretty nice drivers, and a 25-minute long race in front of all of you here this evening, and thank you to all of you tuning into this broadcast here on Slow Motion Broadcasting today. But with all the intro stuff and everything taken care of, I think we could probably move on already and talk about what we've got going on track at the present moment, covering the top splits and already solidly into this qualifying session. Here is our pole sitter at the present moment. It's Marcos Sanchez, the American in the number 1 car, currently on the provisional pole as it stands presently, and let's see if anyone will be able to challenge him between now and the end of this qualifying session coming up in just a couple of moments time. It's got Alexander Klein slotted to join him on the front row as it stands presently. You can see the rest of the drivers still looking to set some lap times on the board here. Looking very close when it comes to the lap times, it must be said. Less than a tenth the gap between P1 and P2. Sanchez blinking a little bit there, so hoping not to have that happen in this race that we have coming up. A bit of a sideways snap out of the turn, so that will just about do it from him in this qualifying session. Let's follow some other racers. Stephen Attic, who's a name that I recognize. He's currently qualified in P11, just pulled over to the side of the racetrack, so I think that'll do it for him here in qualifying. And looking to see if anyone will be able to challenge Sanchez for the pole here in this race. It is going to be super important here at Imola. This absolutely amazing racetrack can put on some good racing regardless of what kind of race cars you put them in. And then when you give these racers a rather light, rather nimble, and rather exciting Formula 3 car, that will be when you have some absolutely brilliant racing action. So looking forward to it here tonight. I have a feeling we're in for a good race, if I am being completely and brutally honest, as we look at these drivers heading their way around this racetrack. Let's ride on board a little bit here with Ignacio Curadaro here. I apologize for the first of many probably butchered name pronunciations that we'll have between now and the end of this season. And again, to the end of qualifying now with about a minute and some change left on the board. Looking very good for Sanchez still. A few more cars still left across the line. I'm looking to see if there's anybody who may be able to challenge him and improve to be able to jump up to the pole. Curadaro comes across the line now, jumps in front of Mark Hing, but is not able to jump any farther than P10 here in this qualifying session. So that's looking like a rather surefire position for him. I'm looking to see if there's any more cars out there on the racetrack. Joseph Givens, no, not looking like any big improvement from him. This may potentially be something here. No, it is not. Looks like just about everybody is down in the pits at the present moment. That or iRacing just saying, nope, you're not going to be able to look at any of these cars. So looks like that will just about do it here for qualifying. It's going to be Marco Sanchez starting this race from the pole position. We'll get that starting grid a little up here in just a few moments' time. One more car left out here on the racetrack, and here he is. So number 2 of Jacob Obrozlak that we're following right now. And there we go, right as I jump to him. That's when this qualifying session comes to a conclusion. Now, with all that being said, folks, we can switch our attention into the first ever race here for Maunz Race Night's top split action from the Formula C Fixed Series. And let's take a look at this starting grid. It is going to be Marco Sanchez starting this race from the pole position. Alexander Klein will join him on that front row. In P2, it is going to be Donato Garskigo, I believe is the correct pronunciation of his name. He'll be starting in third alongside Jacob Obrostak in the number 2 car starting this race in fourth. Jacob Mayberry will start in P5 alongside Cesar Hernandez in the number 10 car. In P number 7 will be Tyler Van Beek, and P number 8 will be Carlos Solano. P9 will see Hugo Gomez Gutierrez. In P number 10 it will be Ignacio Cudararo. In P11 will be the Canadian of Mark Kwong Hing, and in P12, rounding out your first 6 rows of the grid, see, I can do math from time to time, is going to be the Brit of Stephen Attic. Looking at the rest of the drivers that we have in the starting grid, the list continues on with Claudio Flores, Matthias Alarcon starting this race in P14, Christo Chinmay will start in 15th. Right alongside him will be Thierry Estevan. In P17 will be Joseph Givens. P18 will be Flavio Filo. In P19 will be Leo Brobengili. As looking through the final few starters that we have in this starting grid, it's Tomas Quintina, Juan Barrios, and Anthony Manaras will round out your 22 car starting grid. Name pronunciation's gonna be a little bit difficult, but hopefully all of you tuning into this broadcast will be able to enjoy this racing action. We have got a fine race for you all here this evening, and thank you to all of you already tuning into this broadcast on Slow Motion Broadcasting today. 22 cars set to tackle a 25-minute long race, which may not seem like it's too terribly long, but if you're in the heat of battle, it can be super tough to try and nail that run down into turn number 1, as it looks like everybody's lined up with a couple of exceptions in the mid-pack, waiting for those lights to come at, which they are now, and the drivers are on their way. Let's see how it works down into turn number 1. It's a good start there from our pole man. He's going to try and lead them comfortably off into turn number 1. Who's going to risk it? Who's going to go for the moves? Who's going to be able to challenge Marco Sanchez? He's holding on to the inside line through 1 and 2, through the Tamburello chicane. It's going to be Marco Sanchez in front of Alexander Klein. You can see the rest of the fields, they had their way in that small little short shoot between the Tamburello chicane and the Villeneuve chicane. Super tough to try and nail this down, but these drivers going to look to try and ace these corners. It's still Marco Sanchez leading this race as he heads his way off through the mid-sector of this racetrack, about to kick it off for the very first time, looking at some drama a little bit farther in the back that may have gone down. I think just about everybody has had a clean start, with a couple of exceptions a little bit farther in the back. I think there's been some drama with Leo Gill, as it's actually been Ignacio Corradaro who's had some sort of drama. Let's take a look at this here, right on board with this racer as he heads his way through the Villeneuve chicane for the very first time. It's that curb which can be a bit tricky to nail down, but it looks like he got it clean through there, maybe just losing it under power out of the turn. That was actually some drama a little bit farther in front. You can see some wings flying. May need to load up another replay of this, because that was some big amount of drama right at the very beginning of this race. But at the front of the field, Marco Sanchez, he is still leading, but you've got Alexander Klein on the outside looking his way to try and get a move done through the final few corners. That's Klein in the number 4 car trying to sweep around his outside and book it. He's got to be able to jump into the race lead. Marco Sanchez now, he has got a test on his hands to be able to get a move done. We right on board with the driver of the number 1, the American, looking to complete this first lap where he started it, that being in the race lead. Sanchez gonna try and get this move done on Klein. Meanwhile, some side-by-side racing going on right behind for P3 and P4. It's a battle. Last late breakers down into the turn, and Klein gonna get that move done in rather commanding fashion on Sanchez. That was a good move if ever you see it, down into turn number 1 here in Imola. And I think as all of that drama has been going on a little bit farther in the back, the battling at the front of the field is still incredibly intense. We jump to an onboard shot now, outboard shot of him, I should say, following your race leader of Klein. And as that drama has been going on, I think I'm going to take a look to see some more of the drama that's been going on. Some more drivers getting struck by falling anvils. Oh, that may have been a kind of to that a little bit late. I'm trying to figure out exactly what happened here. Multiple drivers running into some difficulties here at the very start of this race, and not sure if the other replays are really going to show us anything, so we're going to jump back to live action and follow your race leader as he heads his way down into the chicane, a super tough section of race track to try and nail down. Look at him hitting those curbs, riding on board with this SMB gyrosphere camera. You can see the oscillation of that car as he hits those curbs, whacking them with a tempered amount of force. There's a certain way to hit the curbs around here. You hit them badly, you're going to be screwed. If you hit them well, you are going to be really quick. And that is a balancing act that these drivers will look to try and nail down. But as we see the driver of Alexander Klein try and jump away in front of Marco Sanchez, who continues to blink in and out, I think we'll jump back a little bit farther in the back of this pack and follow some battles that may be going on involving Cesar Hernandez. Here is the Mexican in the number 10 car, currently getting hounded from behind. You can see very close stuff, side-by-side racing down into the turn. That's Jacob Mayberry trying to get that move done. The Aussie in the number 6 gonna punch his way up into P number 5. That was a rather commanding move as he headed his way down into the first chicane. So presently, already 3 laps into this 25-lap long race is Alexander Klein in front of Marco Sanchez, in front of Jacob Orbaslak, currently slotted in P3 with the rest of the drivers that you can see on screen making up your field. Already some retirements from this race. I believe some of them didn't even take the start. Chinmay ran into some difficulties. I believe that was some on-track difficulties, but still, unfortunate start for some racers a little bit farther in the back of the pack. But outside of that has been a rather clean and smooth start here. However, one driver is starting to feel the burn potentially is going to be the driver that we've been following as of late of Cesar Hernandez. Running in P6 presently, however, you can see that car of Tyler Van Beek right behind. Let's jump to an onboard shot of Van Beek as he has his way through in the Kit Kat car, looking to pick up the crumbs being left from Cesar Hernandez right in front to be able to jump his way up into P number 6. Let's see if he will be able to get a move done here in the not too far off future. And hopefully all of you tuning into this broadcast here on Slow Motion Broadcasting have been able to enjoy the racing action thus far. And if you have, how about you hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you never miss out on any of the racing action. I just realized that I have my layers a little bit screwed up here, so I don't think you can see that yet, but we'll try and get that loaded up here in due course as it's side by side between, that's Van Beek trying to get a move done down into the first turn, and he gets it done with ease, just using that slipstream, getting the good run down that start-finish straightaway, and that will be a convincing maneuver if ever you have seen one. So well done to him. That's going to be a good overtake down into the turn. And let's see now. There we go. We got the subscribe button up and working. I just realized that clap peaked the microphone horribly, so I apologize to anyone who just had their ears completely blown out and had their headphones blown off of their head. But as that battle has warmed up a little bit and promptly cooled off, there's been one going on right in front. You can see Jacob Oberslak in the number 2 car, really close to the back end of the number 5 of Donato Garrigo Dusato there in the number 5 car. We'll get some of these name pronunciations correct, I gotta say. Very much so a fan of the number 5 car. It looks very similar to the colors of the other Ron's Race Night logos, which tell anyone who maybe tuned into the Racing Line podcast over the Ray Esports YouTube channel and heard our old buddy Mr. Adam Thompson and Jason Green completely dogpile on that logo that you can now see in the top right of your screen. I made all of them myself, so if anyone has complaints, you can direct them directly towards me. I am the only person that has made them, and I guess if anyone has a problem with it, well, it's above my pay grade. I'm a commentator, not a graphic designer. As we look at this battle, maybe going to intense up involving these racers. Very much so turning into a 3-car battle, though. Marco Sanchez has really dropped back in the pace department. I think part of the reason why that is the case is because he is blinking wildly in and out of existence. Let's actually follow the other driver right behind, mainly because Marco Sanchez is about as unstable as a chair with a missing leg. I think would probably be the best way I can describe the number 1 car at the present moment. And looking at some of the lap times he's set as well. Current fastest is a 137.945. Compare that to Alexander Klein, who is very much so quicker when it comes to the best lap department. You can see part of the reason why that gap is now already ballooned out to 2.5 seconds. So that's how it stands at the present moment. We'll say, though, have a battle going on a little bit farther in the back involving Carlos Solano. He's in the midst of a 3-car pack. Here we go. So that's, I believe, Matthias Alcron at the front of all of this. Mark Kwong Hing right now in the number 14 car, going to be in the midst of that drama as well. And as I was talking about that drama, I think there's been some more going on a little bit farther in front. Maybe a swapperoo between these 2 racers potentially. You follow Hugo Gomez Gutierrez in that very tastefully done Braun GP tribute scheme. I believe just lost out on a spot to the driver right in front of Flavio Filo, who's already up 10 spots from where he started in this race. Incredible stuff already here as we'll load up that position gain graphic. Yeah, look at that, 10 spots gained as Alexander Klein sets another best lap of the race, doubling down at a 136.7. That's a very, very good lap time there from Alexander Klein, really trying to stake claim on this victory here as we're going to jump back to the action and look at that move from Hugo Gomez Gutierrez down into turn number 1 and book it. He's going to be able to jump his way back up into P8. That was a slick and commanding move, and I'm not really sure if he even planned on going for it, but he went for the move anyway. It worked, and he's now going to jump into an uncontested spot. Let's cut to a replay of this and actually cut to it as I have a good camera angle on it here. That may be a good idea. Holy cow. Look at that move down into the turn. That was some beautiful stuff as he headed his way off into the Tamborella chicane. So that is Hugo Gomez Gutierrez jumping his way up into P8. I said it was uncontested. You've still got Flavio Filo, the hard charger from this race, up 9 spots now from where he started in this race a matter of 9 minutes ago. Looking very close to the back of him, so may end up having to talk about these drivers battling once again between now and the fall of the checkered flag here in this race. I will say, though, Alexander Klein running very good at the front of this field. Currently has a 3-second gap between himself and the car of Marco Sanchez. Sanchez in that one car was able to grab the pole, but ever since then lost out on the lead with a move down into the turn, and really Alexander Klein certainly has not looked back after all of that. So I think we're going to follow him for a little bit, as I will say there's actually been a crash involving Stephen Attic. This has been a pretty big moment for him. Let's take a look at it as he heads his way off through Acqua Minerale right now, and yes, that does directly translate from Italian to English as mineral water. So as he heads his way out of mineral water into what I like to call the chicane from hell, loops it around, and okay, so nothing really bad too terribly there. Bit of a whack of the curb, which granted, if you're the spine of Stephen Attic, you're not going to be feeling too good after that. But outside of that, looks like it's been rather smooth involving those racers. Rejoins the track, and must have been some drama a little bit farther down the road, because he's gone down pit lane, probably to repair some damage, because you see a bit of a tweak to the front wing there. So I think there may have been a bit more to that story when it came to Attic. But following Alexander Klein back up at the front of this field, and as we're looking at that drama, the drama certainly flared up between Filo and Hugo Gomez Gutierrez. He's got to look to try and get a move done down into Acqua Minerale. He sweeps around the outside, and he gets the move done. It's not over yet, though. Filo looking to fight back on the inside, potentially down into the chicane. That would be a gutsy move if he can try and go for it, but he's still looking for it down the inside, gonna back out of it. I think that's a smart call. Hugo Gomez Gutierrez, though, putting on a stormer of an overtake there. Let's cut to a replay of that, because that was absolutely divine. Let's see, he runs a little bit wide, does Filo, heading his way through the turn right before Acqua Minerale. That gives him enough of a run to just sweep around the outside, and my oh my, was that a commanding overtake from Gomez Gutierrez. This battle is going to be intense all the way through to the fall of the checkered flag, and as we are still early on in this race, all of you tuning into this broadcast here, I hope you're enjoying the racing action just as much as I am for the first ever edition of Ron's Race Nights here on SMB. If you are, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you never miss out on any of the racing action, which is intense at the front of the field as well. I think Marco Sanchez is really starting to drop down badly. He's currently he's feeling even more pressure than he was before. Let's cut to that at the front of the field. Marco Sanchez still running in P2 for now. However, Donato Garisco, I should say, my apologies, Gariso. I'll get that name pronunciation correct at some point between now and the end of this broadcast. Those two battling for P2 and P3 in this race. Marco Sanchez looking to try and hold his own. I will say one driver who may get involved in this battle as well is potentially going to be the rear gunner of this pack. It's your P4 runner and the driver, the number 2 of Jacob Orbrislak. May have to speak about the Polish driver getting involved in that battle for the win between now and the very end of this race. And looking at the other YouTube chat, I can see my dad and Mr. Wilkie. Hello, guys. And I would be responding and taking note of some of the messages I see in the YouTube chat, but Josh, I'm sure you can attest to this. Rather difficult doing a sim racing broadcast, producing it, and also looking at the YouTube chat doubly so when I've got my stinking mic stand blocking the view. But we've got an unobstructed view of a battle going on right in front of these racers. Who's going to win out between Garisco and Sanchez? Down into the turn, he sweeps around the outside, and through goes Gariso to jump into P2. That is a commanding move around the outside. Marco Sanchez now going to drop back. Those internet connection issues, I wonder if they're playing a big role in this, because with the changes that iRacing implemented a couple of seasons ago, you'll eventually just get yoinked out of the session entirely. So I think gotta think of the mental side of things for Marco Sanchez, how well his brain's feeling at the present moment. One driver's not feeling too well is Juan Barrios, who's had a crash of his own. Let's take a look at here as he heads his way off through looking fine through Aqua Minerale on corner exit. And let's see, down into this section of the track. Is it any sort of oh, it actually locked up the rears a little bit down into the turn. Now, this is something that we saw happen during the Sim Racers Group F4 broadcast, the Sim Racers Group F3 broadcast, I should say, a couple of days ago here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. Saw some drivers with some, oh boy, that was Marco Sanchez with a snap out. The chicane just was going to note the rear locks and the real ease that it takes to lock up the rear tires, heading down into that chicane, going through the gears, getting that bad engine braking going on, and just looping it on corner entry. Saw that play out a little bit earlier on in this race, and nearly saw it get played out yet again there. It was, I guess, 3/4 of a spin, potentially. He didn't 100% loop it, although he certainly got close to it. Just jumping back now to the front of the field, it is now Gariso holding on to slowly. He's hoping that it'll be an uncontested P2, but you've still got that car right behind. He is hounding him, is Marco Sanchez, who jumped to an onboard shot of the driver of the number 5, and follow him as he heads his way through the Villeneuve chicane. You can see Sanchez looking to maybe try and make something work, nearly launched himself off into the gravel down into the turn. Marco Sanchez is really starting to get racy. I will say Jacob Oberslack is going to get involved in this battle soon if we don't see Garisco really start to pull away and build up that gap. You'd certainly want to, but again, at this point of the race, 15.5 minutes in, these cars aren't driving nearly as well as they did a little bit earlier on this evening. And you can hear it with every single curb whack. Let's actually listen as he heads his way down into the chicane here. Oh, perfect time for me to take a sip of water. He missed the turn. That was a big mistake there from Donato Garcia. And exactly why, folks, if you're looking to make a career as an iRacing broadcaster, just be superhuman and not have to take a single sip of water throughout the entirety of the show, because when you do, that's going to be when the drama kicks off. I could not have planned that any better if I tried. That was the best/worst timing I've seen in my entire life. It's now Marco Sanchez back into P2. Oberslack slotted in the final podium spot in 3rd, and Donato Garcia gonna look to try and fight his way back up into the podium spots. Still there in striking distance, however, he will need to try and put in some good times to be able to do well here. And let's take a look at the other moment where things went so awry there for your at 1 point P2 runner. Let's take a look at here. He has his way down into the chicane. You can see a little bit of a sideways snap down into it, and maybe lost it on the brakes, and then through goes Sanchez and Oberslack, and that is shooting Gargiso down into P number 5. I think that is the closest I've come to actually pronouncing his name correctly. Donato, if you're tuning into this broadcast, I deeply, deeply apologize for my very likely butchered pronunciations. See, at the moment, I'm trying my best. Oh, as Oberslack and Sanchez swapped spots briefly, as Sanchez yet again got abducted by a UFO. Those alien encounters, you know, I've always thought they were bad as a commentator, but as a producer, they are about 15,000 times worse. Things have gone pretty rough for your at 1 point hard charger. I don't believe he is your hard charger anymore, and part of the reason why that is the case is down to the fact that Flavio Filo has had an off-track excursion. I'm looking through. Yes, he is no longer the hard charger. Joseph Givens is up 8 spots, so he is not given or taken. That was probably the worst pun I've had in quite some time on the air. Let's take a look at this moment for Filos. He heads his way down into the Villeneuve chicane, running right in front of his sparring partner, Hugo Gomez Gutierrez. And let's see, as he heads his way down into the turn, was it potentially contact? No, he got spooked off the track there, hits the grass and loops it. Oh, that could have been close to disaster with Hugo Gomez Gutierrez. That could have been absolute carnage between those two. It thankfully is not. However, things have gone from bad to worse for 2 drivers involved in that battle. For the podium, Marco Sanchez, I think he pick up and slow down there. He just dropped down like a rock. We're going to take a look at this. It was Gargiso overtaking him. Yeah, you can see very slow on corner exit. That had to have been a slowdown. There's no other thing that could have been. I think things have gone from bad to worse for Marco Sanchez in live action. He's dropping down like a rock. There you can see him slow, heading his way off into Aqua Minerale here in a couple of moments' time. And let's take a look at this moment here from Marco Sanchez. It was looking like a good opportunity to win this race. Then he lost out on the lead. Then he lost out on P3. He lost out on P2. He briefly got it back, and now with this mistake, he's going to drop down outside the top 5. It's a spin down into the turn. Very crushing mistake from Marco Sanchez. It was looking good, but sadly after that moment, things going from bad to worse to even worse still for him as a bit of a sideways snap out of the chicane. So that car clearly driving a little bit sour. The same, on the other hand, can certainly not be said about the driver we've got on screen right now. Alexander Klein has been dominant thus far in this race, and I believe if he can keep up that same pace just based off the fact he set his personal best lap of the race last time by, I have a feeling we may have to talk about him just doing absolute wonders here in these races, as I think things have gone even worser still. Worser is certainly not a word for Marco Sanchez. He's actually, I believe he's had another off-track excursion. I was thinking, okay, did he come into the pits? No, he lost it yet again. Not exactly sure where that was on the racetrack. I believe that may have been heading through the final turn around this racetrack. Yes, it was. So Marco Sanchez is going to lose it yet again. So he drops down from P2 at the start of last lap, all the way down to P7 at the start of this one. 6 spots lost ever since the drop of the green flag. That is a real stinger. Joseph Givens, though, He's running pretty happy, currently slotted in P number 9, 8 spots up from where he started in this race. That is a rather good turn of things for him, so I'll have to keep tabs on the other hard chargers throughout the season. I'll know what the other prize would be on offer for anyone who's the other hard charger at the end of the season. I'm trying to think now. Well, what would be a very bad thing to give as a gift? Okay, I got it. A Home Depot bucket full of tomato paste. Very fitting that we're following the bright red Ferrari car of Givens, as I mentioned that. And Home Depot bucket full of tomato paste. I think that's the first time that has ever been said in the history of iRacing broadcasting, and there's a very good reason for that. Jacob Mayberry, he's involved in a battle with himself and Tyler Van Beek. We're going to jump to an onboard shot with this racer as he heads his way off through the final few turns and nearly just got jinxed by me, as it looked like he was oh so close to going off the racetrack there. Let's jump onto this gyro cam. I absolutely adore this gyro cam. It's locked onto that horizon on the pitch and the roll and the undulation on the track. You can see that car trying to think of what the correct technical term would be. I believe it would be buffeting. You'd be able to see that car buffeting or porpoising if you're a fan of Formula 1. Marco Sanchez has come down pit lane, and I have a pretty sneaking suspicion that this is not because of a pit stop. This is probably because of a drive-through penalty for incidents. You've seen him have his fair share of drama up to this point in the race, and let's see as he heads his way out of pit lane right about now, going to be exiting out outside the top 10. Ran straight through, didn't stop, so that is almost certainly a drive-through penalty from Marco Sanchez. Real kick in the shins to that racer, and it being an official series, I won't usually raise this, but I will here. 62 iRating is what he's set to lose here at the present moment, and frankly, after this race was said and done, and seeing all this, I would probably end up cursing out my Aeronet provider, seeing how often that car blinks out in and out of existence. Thankfully for me, my Aeronet connection is flawless, and I won't have to about that anytime soon. And yes, that was me spamming the mute button on my control board. We're going to take a look at a moment involving Anthony Manaras, as let's see. Don't tell me it's another rear lock into the chicane. I have a feeling it'll be another rear lock into the chicane. Survey says... Oh. Oh, no. Okay. I thought I had called it, and then I saw him go way too slow through that chicane. That was a bizarre collision. We're going to take a look at another onboard shot. It's not maybe running on board with them. Let's listen in, see if there's any damage on that race car. It doesn't look like it. Huh. That is an oddity. I wonder, though. I mean... Anthony Manaras, I should say. Man, these name pronunciations throw me for a loop today. I'm going to look through. I want to see who was right behind him at the time of this collision. Should be noted that we're about to see the white flag being there. Okay, that did us absolutely no good there at all. Was it Juan Barrios? No. Okay, it was the number 4. Oh, that was Alexander Klein. Okay, I was thinking that was a lap car, and yes, it was your race leader of Klein making that contact. I should have called on to that earlier. I apologize for that, folks. Klein is about to get to the end of this race here. He'll be taking the white flag this time by as he heads his way down into the final few turns for the last time in this race. Yeah, last time by a 138.2. I was trying to figure out exactly who that was. I hit the track position button, and then it brought me to a car on the completely different end of the racetrack. So, oh boy, that's first time I've ever seen a race leader nearly get taken out in a crash. So that would have been a true kick in the shins for the Frenchman. But the white flag is in the air. One more lap of racing action for him to win the first ever edition of Ron's Race Nights here on SMB. If you're the hard charger, you win a you win a Home Depot bucket full of tomato paste, and if you win these races, you get a trash bag full of mango puree. But Alexander Klein on track for a win, and let's ride on board with him here in a couple of moments just to get a good feeling as to how he tackles this rather challenging but also very rewarding racetrack. See him running a little bit wide there as he headed his way through right before Aqua Minerale. I think he has the right to maybe run a little bit more sloppy, so to speak. That was very nasty for me to say. I apologize for that. Let's stick with this shot as he heads his way through that chicane. That's an absolutely fantastic shot. I'm very proud of myself for making that camera. But we're going to jump to a TV shot, and it's a TV cameras that have been not really focusing on Alexander Klein for the simple sake that he has had a super clean race up to this point in time. The Frenchman behind the wheel of the number 4 car started this race in P2, and even with a little bit of damage on that race car and that front wing looking more and more like a weird art project than anything else, Alexander Klein in the number 4 car is going to head his way down that start-finish straightaway to win this race here at Imola tonight. Alexander Klein grabs the checkered flag at the end of it all. Jacob Oberslack is going to be slotted in P2. Donato Gargisa will round out your podium in 3rd, but for Alexander Klein, it is going to be him immediately saying, you know what, I'm going to avoid any sort of drama. I'm just going to say, hey, thank you very much. I'll appreciate those spots and just keep it clean all the way through to the end of this race. I think we may have a battle going on, though, involving Claudio Flores and Marco Sanchez. Here they are, side by side, heading down to the final few turns at the very end of this race. Sanchez looking to sweep around the outside. Claudio Flores, on the other hand, in that Forced India tribute scheme, going to back out of it, and he will settle for P number 12 at the end of this race. Marco Sanchez still blinking wildly in and out of existence. Will finish in P11. Not the result that he had in mind, but hey, that's just how the fates went for him at the end of this race. So those are going to be your finishing positions at the end of it all. What a race here from start to finish. That was a good one. We had some fantastic battling all up and down the grid. Some drivers putting on some rather good shows as well. At the end of it all, Alexander Klein is going to be your race winner. Gets the first ever win here from Ron's Race Nights here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. And to all of you tuning into this broadcast, because I can see that there have been some, thank you all very much. And if you have enjoyed the racing action, happy to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you never miss out on any of the racing action. I will get that slightly slimmed up because it is looking a little bit puffy. It looks like me back when I was in middle school. But anyways, before we go off into the slander of myself too much, I think we'll take a look at the finishing results at the end of this race and let you know that winning it all at the end is going to be Alexander Klein. Jacob Orbuslak will finish in P2. Donato Gargisa will round out your podium in 3rd. Tyler Van Beek will finish this race in 4th. Jacob Mayberry will finish in P5. Cesar Hernandez will finish in 6th in front of Hugo Gomez Gutierrez in 7th. Joseph Givens in P8. Carlos Solano will finish this race, I should say, in P9, with Mark Kwong Hing rounding out your top 10. Marco Sanchez will finish in P11 in front of Claudio Flores. Matthias Alacron will finish this race in lucky number P13. Ignacio Codorado will finish in P14 in front of Flavio Filo. Stephen Adcock will finish this race in 16th in front front of Anthony Manaras and Juan Barrios rounding out your first page of the results. Gotta look through the final few drivers here. Not a lot of other drivers left to go, and a lot of them did not finish this race. Thierry Estevam had some difficulties, as did Leo Brobin Gilly, and Christo Chinmay along with Thomas Quintana will round out your results at the end of this first ever running of Ron's Race Nights here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. And to all of you tuning into this broadcast, I hope you thoroughly enjoyed the racing action. We had some good battling to talk about and some rather incredible moves there as well. But at the end of it all, I think the standout star has to be, without a question or shadow of a doubt, your race winner. Our standout star at the end of this race, Alexander Klein. He is going to walk away with the checkered flag in the first ever running of this event, if you want to call it an event. First ever running of one of these broadcasts here. He's able to walk away with it all. And let's cut to left rear camera shot. There we go. We can see the man himself, the driver of the number 4 car, who was able to get the move done at the end of this race to win it all. It's going to be a good win from him for certain, and I'm sure he's going to be quite proud as to how his race went. To all of you tuning into this broadcast, I hope you enjoyed the racing action, and I'll tell you what, that is not all the stuff that we've got coming up here for Ron's Race Nights here in season number 3 of 2025. Looking through the rest of the schedule, this is just the start of it, folks. In 1 week's time, you'll be able to catch the action from the Radical Esports Cup. That's a series I cover on the iRacing YouTube channel, and you'll be able to see the top split action at Watkins Glen in 1 week's time. Gonna be switching it up a little bit for week 3. Gonna be seeing the street stocks run at Martinsville at 9 p.m. as well. The Legends Road Course Cup at Knock Hill. Those brand new refreshed Legends cars are absolutely amazing here in the sim, and I am looking forward to seeing what sort of action they'll be able to put on for week number 4. Radical E Cup action will return here to SMB on RRN on Ron's Race Nights here on SMB with the race at Thruxton for week number 5. Skip Barber action you'll be able to see at Interlagos, followed for the second half of the season with the street stocks at Lanier. The Formula C Fix Series will be returning here to Slow Motion Broadcasting for the race at the Norderschleife. Quite fitting that we're doing this broadcast on the same day as the Nürburgring 24 is currently going on at the present moment. Final Radical race will be for week number 9. The Legends Road Course Cup will return for the second and final time at Lime Rock Park, followed for the final 2 weeks at Skip Barber and Tsukuba. So that's a racing action to look forward to there for week 11, and Formula C Fix will round off this season of Ron's Race Night action as it started it. That will be at Road America right towards the end of the season, and I'll tell you what, folks, it is going to give you a good reason to subscribe here to Slow Motion Broadcasting so you can never miss out on the action from Ron's Race Nights here on SMB. And I will say as well, one thing that is rather interesting about this is a publicly funded broadcast of iRacing. That's right, folks. If you'd like to support Ron's Race Nights, you can support that through the Ko-Fi QR code that you've got on screen right now. Make a generous donation to me, and you will be forever in my heart, and I will be forever grateful for that donation to make this iRacing action come to life here on Slow Motion Broadcasting week in and week out. But for week number 1, your winner is going to be Alexander Klein, the driver of the number 4 car, getting the job done here for this first ever Ron's Race Night event for Formula C Fixed action at Imola. And to all of you tuning into this broadcast, I hope you have enjoyed the racing action, and I hope you'll be able to tune in to that race at Watkins Glen for the Radical SR10s in 1 week's time. But for myself, Ron Maunz, working the comms and the cams on tonight's broadcast, I say thank you all so very much for watching the start of something new, Ron's Race Nights here on Slow Motion Broadcasting, and we hope to see you all for that race with the SR10s at Watkins Glen coming up in 1 week's time. Take care, everybody. We'll see you next week.